And hello, everybody. Welcome, Orville Nation. Welcome, Orville Nation. Good to see everybody. And it's what a day it has been, huh? We have all been just waiting for news about from San Diego Comic Con, and we were all on the edge of our seats. I don't know why they don't well, I do know why actually. They should stream these things. It's really has to do more with San Diego Comic Con having wanting to have exclusive content for the people who are physically there. But anyway, um it's good. There is some good news there from the Orville panel. And let's just say hello to everybody who's in here. Hello, Mr. Lundell. Good to see you. Good to see you, Maria. Hello, Maria from T and Telly. Good to see you. LDG. Hello, my friend. How are you doing, my friend? Medallion. Hi, diddly ho. Good to see you, Medallion. Awesome, guys. And there's a few of you lurkers out there. So, good to see everybody. And we're gonna do what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a kind of a short stream, and we're gonna do a second stream tomorrow before the Doomcock show, and we're gonna continue our conversation on Midnight Blue and anything else that you guys want to talk about. What an episode, right? Midnight Blue, what a fantastic episode. Um, I do want to just point a few things out here, guys, because I've had this conversation with several people in the fandom, and I don't want any of you guys to be bummed out by any that not all channels are treating the Orville the same way. And of course, here we love the Orville, and not because we're biased, but we are. We are kind of biased, but because it's fantastic. They're just doing a bang up job. But I do want to let people know that the Orville is kind of the big kid on the block now, and you're gonna see. I and again, I had at least 5 conversations this weekend about this with people. And even Maria was on a panel the other day that was kind of um, we were asking ourselves, why are these people even on why are these people even reviewing the Orville if they're not into it. And the truth is that they are into it, but sometimes and I I'm talking about friends here. Sometimes ratings are more important. Ratings and being the protagonist, and that's okay. That's their channel. Those are their channels. So don't worry about that, guys. The Orville is kicking butt. It's awesome, doing awesome on Hulu. Disney has recognized the potential of the Orville. I have been saying this for a really long time. We will probably see the Orville become the twinkle in Disney's eye, right? It'll be in the diamond in the rough in Disney. Hello, JP, JPR PH1. I can't say it the way Doomcock does. Good to see you. You thought it was a great episode too. Um, well, short for us, but we'll do. Hey, good to see you, Darren. Um, um, Mr. Lundell says this is clearly the best episode of the season. I'm wondering how they can top it. Yeah. Well, and that's what I was talking about because, you know, friends of ours who we have great respect for gave this episode a 2. And that's just knowing them, that's not even being objective. So, I would suggest that you stick to watching JP Egotastic and talking the Orville and other channels who are being objective and being appreciative of the work that's being put on the screen. A lot of this hate for the Orville is artificial. Yes, it is. It is, Darren. You said it perfectly. Thank you. Hey, Sir Goosey. Disney explains a lot of season 3, says LG. Okay. Best of season, possibly a top runner for the overall series too. Yeah, it is a top runner for sure. Hello, Hargrave. Good to see you. I'm Mockland out. Tired of rehashing the Mockland garbage. My got enough already. Well, I don't think we're going to be getting more Mockland stuff the rest of the season. But there was a lot. Let me just say this, guys, because one of the things that we as sci-fi fans have been complaining about in recent years is the fact that sci-fi does not respect their own canon. And I understand that like Hargrave wants different storylines. He's seen a lot of Mockland storyline. I get that. One of the things that we can't appreciate about the Orville guys is that they have been true to their canon. Not only that, even with just 2 years, and let's not forget the comics, but even with the 2 years of canon, the Orville has been has really milked those 2 years. Let's say that they have really squeezed out a lot they can from 2 years of canon. They've been very respectful to their own canon, and this is some of the stuff that we were asking for. This is kind of fan service from the Orville, from Seth and crew, that we wanted to see respect for canon, and we wanted to see, we wanted to see these kind of stories. Now, at the end, we're going to ask you guys. At the end, I'm going to ask you guys what things we might want to see in season 4, because I do think we're going to be seeing season 4. This friend who gave it a 2 out of 10 is adult. Yeah, our friend is can be adult, can't he? And yeah, I do want to point out that some of our friends who have been criticizing the Fandom Menace for viewing shows in an excessively negative light are actually doing the same thing. So you guys, yeah, you gotta try to be objective. 2 episodes is too much. Bordas has barely had anything to do with the whole season. Yeah, I think it's perfect. We needed to see Havina. We needed to see Topa as a female. We needed to see her as a female, and I guess not everybody's going to feel the same way about this was great for me. You know who they are, Mr. Lundell. You know who they are. If there is one thing that has been touched upon lately is Dr. Finn and Isaac's death. Yes, Dr. Isaac and listen, let's bear one thing in mind. These episodes are now over an hour long, sometimes quite a bit more, and this is spectacular, and it just means that a lot of things can be addressed. There can be secondary stories in these episodes. I think it's perfect, to be honest. I wouldn't change a thing. What the one thing Seth has done this semester. I'm sorry, professor, thinking in academic terms. This season, the one thing Seth has done this season is prove the potential of the Orville and what can be done in this new format, etc., etc. So, and Maria, thank you, my my friend. You didn't have to do that. Thank you for being such a positive, encouraging public figure for the Orville. Great. my celebrity status. I think Maria has celebrity status. I think Maria did a bang up job on that podcast panel, by the way. Um, Thank you, Maria, and thank you for being so positive. You are an inspiration. And listen, our this community really got. I mean, we were around and we were listening to YouTube and stuff, but this greater community really got ignited um, with the Star Wars sequels and and people feeling not happy with them. The danger and the danger there is a danger in always being angry and always being negative. We have to go after we have to say stuff that's good and we have to call out stuff that's good, and not everything can be bad. Even Doomcock, who's always saying stay angry, he is loving the Orville. We can't always be mad. We should always stay passionate. We should always stay passionate, and we should always stay passionate. But we don't have to be negative. Also, if there's an episode of the Orville you don't like, because this is going to happen in every sci-fi show, or even in some of your favorite shows, there's going to be episodes you don't like. Don't let that those feelings linger when you start a new episode, because you're not doing yourself a favor, to be honest. Sometimes we just need to sit back and enjoy stuff, guys. Hey, Nerdporial, I think I saw you were doing live. The Union is in its worst position yet. Things I liked and things I didn't like about this latest episode. Yeah, and they're listen. Let me say this. I think that I want to get what you guys think about this too. But I think that I think that when Scott Grimes, when Gordon stands up and does his and gives and yells at the Mocklins, and yeah, he's out of place, right? But I do think that in the end, the Union is deciding really just to call out the Mocklins on their BS. You know what? As essential as they might be, if the Kalon come not, this is a very political ending to the show, which also means that if they're, if the Kalon show up, it doesn't. I don't think it necessarily means that that the Mocklins and the Planetary Union won't support each other against the Kalon, regardless of these political fallouts. So I just want to say that. Hey, JRC 99, good to see you. Hey, Lady Mist, good to see you. What person wasn't on board his side when he was beating the torture to death? Huh? Yeah, I know, right? As cringy as it was to see Topa being beaten up, there is some. Let me say there are good signs regarding the show. There are good signs in that the show has a certain maturity to it, because even though it is a little cringe to watch this child be beaten up. It's probably necessary for the story. So and to show Bortus's reaction later. Hate watching is a thing and should be protected. Hate watching is a thing and should be protected. I do it with Picard, but you don't have to have them ruin any of the fun. Also, yeah, people. Okay, hate watching is a thing. I get it, and people do it also for their channels to review stuff. This is why, by the way, this is the reason I can't review certain shows anymore. And you will see I start to review a show, I just cannot continue reviewing it because I don't want to. I don't want to do hate watching and hate streaming. It's not me. But yeah, some people. Um, I understand what you're saying, LDG, especially if you have a channel. I get it. Um, the fandom menace goes a little too far. Hey, Tokyo Trekker, by reviewing things they haven't seen just for views. Only a couple of actors in the fandom menace are genuine, but a few are far between. Yeah. By the way, also reviewing stuff you haven't seen. No, you can't do that. You should not do that. Reviewing stuff you haven't seen, that makes no sense. So I did not like Kavina in this latest episode, says Norporeal. She came off as creepy, but Topa in a terrible position. I felt lacked consequences. Her character, she came off almost scot-free. I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna say something interesting about this because all right. I deal a lot in human psychology. Um, there is there is a there is a very common thing that happens with more elderly people, um, especially in leadership positions. They have they become all of a sudden very accessible to very young people, and it has to do with the older person feeling that they have little time or little resources, and and wanting to almost pass the torch to a much younger person who they see full of potential. Now, granted, it is obviously putting Topa in a very dangerous position, but also if you in Havina's psychology, um, if she sees Topa as one of the only hopes for the future, she may, I'm not saying it's right, right? I'm not saying it's right, but it's believable that somebody would do that. Peter Smith, sadly, it could be a blowback to Disco Picard since there's culture of war. Pillows are this reason I'm standing off for the Orville. Saw standing off fish for the Orville, but I won't. I want to believe. Okay. Um. Oh, you guys were gaming. You're done, huh? Yeah. I hope you're feeling better, Maria. Maria had a little tough little bout there, but she bounced back strong. Havina's not going without blame. She said she would be dealt with later. Yeah, she's going to have to deal with consequences, and that will probably, uh, nothing goes with these writers on the Orville. Nothing goes. Nothing goes. Nothing goes unaddressed, or most anything. Most nothing goes unaddressed, I think. So I think we're going to be learning more about consequences for Havina. Destruction of Trek is to Cuckoo Land has brought the destruction of Trek to Cuckoo Land has brought much attention to the Orville. That's true. Yeah. By the way, I don't know if you guys saw the thing for Picard. It was nice to see Worf was looking relatively normal as far as Klingons go, but yeah, like some people are saying it's too little, too late, and it is. And actually, we'll see. We'll see. There's the problem with getting all the cast back for season 3 of Picard is that there's potential for a disaster there if they don't do it right because they haven't been doing things right. I always remembered, in my opinion, they have not been doing things right. I always remember that TNG was generational in terms of popularity and syndication. It's such an uphill battle, says Peter Smith. I agree on the excessive use of negativity, but a lot of times they read in between the lines based on how it's marketed and what the creators say in interviews. Okay, you guys. I'm getting there. This is Maria. Deej, good to see you, Deej. Season 3 is still delayed. This is all dream, folks. Yeah, Deej. Yeah. Yeah, Deej was saying that season 3 was going to be delayed. Yeah. Um, what Star Wars sequels? Exactly, Medallion. What Star Wars sequels? Um, oh man, I sensed it when Seth wanted Star Trek. He got something better, better spiritual successor to it. Star Trek is too damaged. Yeah, listen. Let me just say one thing about this. Uh, it's we have been told. They tell me a lot of things. By the way, I gotta filter. I don't say much, to be honest, actually. But one of the things that I do think is believable, and we've been told on several occasions, is that CBS and Secret Hideout were paranoid about Disney learning about their plans for Star Trek, and it's almost like it's almost like they were afraid Disney would come up with something to rival their Star Trek. And Seth has come up with something, and Seth is now, being brought into Orville is being brought into the Disney family. And I got to say this: I've been saying it for a long time. People look at me with crazy eyes when I say this. You will see Orville exhibit at Disney World and Disneyland. You will see the whether it's an Orville exhibit or a restaurant, or and somebody said it was something about Futureland, or whether it's an Orville ride or whatever, Orville themed, whatever it is, you will see it. I truly believe that. I just did a Picard season trailer reaction. Worf does not look like a Klingon. Yeah, that's a positive thing. Absolutely, Nerdporial. That is a positive thing. Hey Kai, good to see you. Sci-fi author Kai, MFS, motherfucking sexy Kai. Going to listen in the shower. Okay. And wash behind those ears, Kai. Kai, wash behind your ears. Mama said, wash behind your ears, Kai. He's cracking up in the shower right now. Kai is cracking up in the shower. Don't worry, we can't see you, Kai. Or can we? Nerdporial Lifeform. Great. You guys are talking to each other. All right, guys. Well, let me ask you. Let's go through this. Let's go through this. I want to ask everybody what your rating was for this episode, Midnight Blue. What is your rating for this episode? That is a great episode. Fantastic episode. What is your rating for this episode, guys? And why? What is your rating and why? Please go ahead and put that in the chat. What is your rating for this episode and why? Let me catch up really quick. The multiphasic God episode. Okay. Hey, Judicon, thanks for joining us. Yeah, you go watch them. Some of that old stuff is really good compared to the new stuff, right? The writing is spectacular. By the way, I think it's some of those writers like Brandon Braga, David Goodman, Andre Bermanis. They are working on the Orville. Hey, Potato Reven. By the way, Potato Reven, guys, is doing some great. Guys, put in your channels, by the way, LDG, put in your channel, Potato Reven, put in your channel, Deej. Potato Reven has been doing some great streams on the Orville. You want you guys to check those out. They've had some really good panels on there. Oh yeah, Picard is I don't want to be negative here, but Picard is it's like a ship without a rudder, really. I hope it's fixed. Yeah, I think it looks a little better, right? Thank you, Jersey. Yeah, you know what? He's live though, Medallion. He's live. He's live for sure. We're probably gonna see that guy again, right? Yeah. See, that's the thing. Yep, we're gonna get to that. He knows the secret. Medallion's right, guys. He knows the secret, assuming that that Topa told the truth, right? Probably because she was probably really scared and she'd held out for too long. Yeah, he knows the secret, guys. And Bortus didn't kill him. Yes, the Mocklin Union divorce was bound to happen, right? Because of the female thing. It was bound to happen. You're right. Hello, Jessica. John Cassar is interested in joining this chat. I assume you're talking about John Cassar. Let's see. Thank you, Jessica, for bringing that to my attention. And I'd love to have you interact, John. Here, 1 second. I'm gonna send you. I'm gonna send you a link. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. We're honored to have John Cassar join us. Jeez. I'm gonna send you if you're listening, John. Thank you, Jessica, for bringing that up to my attention. Thank you. I'm gonna send John a link, and he can. I'm DMing him, and he can join us if he is free and if he still wants to. So that'd be awesome. And also, if you just wanted to be in the chat, I'm not sure, but you are welcome to be in the chat as well. All right. Wow. Link will bring you right to our back. All right. Awesome. Well, if John has time to jump in, we'd be honored. Thank you, Jessica. And thank you, John Reed, too, for yeah, I'd be honored. Well, we'll keep an eye out for John if he joins us. Wow. Very exciting. All right. Let's take a look at those ratings, guys. Have you guys, some of you guys, been posting? It's me. I'm way too far behind. Damn, you guys are chatty today. I got to scroll down. Okay. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for letting me know. And actually, we have somebody backstage. I see you, John. Let's see. Hold on, let me. Welcome to John Cassar. Welcome, John. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
It's an honor to have you here. How are you doing?
Good. I figured because I missed Comic Con this year, which is a bummer because I'm in New York City doing an episode of FBI. I
Oh,
figured
wow.
let's see what everyone's saying about the show, and there you are. So I thought I'd join you and hang out a bit.
Thank you. I appreciate that, John. I'm also in New York City.
Oh,
So we're both stuck on the wrong side of
yeah,
the and thank you guys for letting me know that that John was interested.
yeah.
Um,
Thanks, John Reed, for doing that, and was it Jessica? Jessica too.
Jessica and Jessica,
Thank
yeah.
you. I was on there putting. I'm not great at this stuff, so I was doing what I thought I had to do, but obviously not.
John, before I ask you anything else, let me just say I am crazy about 24. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, that was a cute little show I did.
Yeah, that was amazing. 24 was amazing. So what stood out for you? Well, I hope everybody has been safe in your family with during COVID and stuff.
All
And
all good. Lots of precautions. I mean, the show itself, you guys know that from seeing some of the behind the scenes. We tested every day on that show. We even on Saturdays and Sundays when we were working, we still went in and tested. So we wanted a very safe environment. And we had one the whole time we shot.
yeah. Is there anything that you wanted to like lead into? Because one of the problems we have is that we can never get these Comic-Con panels on streaming. Is there anything you wanted to mention about what they were discussing, maybe? Or
Oh, I have no idea what they're discussing. I mean, usually the fun part is just answering the questions from the audience. So I'm sure just by seeing some of the pictures and the smiles on people's faces, it was a fun event. I love going to it every year. So I kind of missed it now. But between COVID and not being able to go this year, it's kind of hard because I really do love Comic Con, and I love interacting with the fans. That's one of my favorite things.
yeah, wow. Or will you be at New York Comic Con? Are you
Uh,
sure?
when is that? I don't even know when that.
I think it's October 6th to the 8th or something.
You know what? I might be back in town to do another FBI, so I should look into that. Maybe I'll get the publicity people on it. In the meantime, I thought I'd just be here to say, first of all, thank you from all of us. I mean, Seth has been, thanking you over and over again, and all of us couldn't be more excited that you're reacting to the show the way you are. We've been sitting on these episodes for virtually years, and it's been really tough not having them out there for you to see. But as you can see, they were quite monumental. And the when you actually add up the time of all 10 episodes, it's actually the equivalent of 16 network episodes.
Wow.
So you're getting a lot of content, put it that way.
Absolutely. How is it have how is I think people have adapted really well to the new format. What's your impression?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, one of the reasons that Seth went over to Hulu was so he wouldn't be restricted with the time. And Seth is the kind of guy that once he writes a script, what if you actually have a script and hold it right up beside one of our shows, you'll notice it's exactly the same, exactly the same. Unlike other television shows that cut and chop, even 24, we used to turn in shows that were 10 minutes over, and and Joel would just cut them so tight they would come back 2 minutes short, and we'd have to do another. We'd have to get another 2 minutes in. So he was really bummed in the other seasons having to cut stuff out, stuff that you guys would have loved, I'm sure, if you had seen it. But unfortunately, it had to be cut out to fit into the 42-minute or so format. And so that's something that he really, railed against a little bit. And so streaming was the perfect answer for that. And as you can see, we have one episode that truly is a movie. I mean, it's truly, if it was commercials, it would have been a TV movie, basically, at an hour and 26 minutes.
Wow. Um, John, Seth said at one point that but at the beginning of the episode, at the beginning of the season, in an interview, he said that season 3 was, if you could sum it up in one word, he would say coexistence. Do you want to say is there anything you can say about that, that
Well, it makes
concept?
sense. You've seen the episodes now, so it makes sense. And and there's two more. So the next one, if you thought the last one was big, wait till you see the next one. It's ridiculously huge. Put it that way. It's such a big show. It truly is a big show.
Wow. By the way, we were talking just before you got on here that the Orville only has 2 seasons of canon to go back into it, but it really seems like you guys have really gone back to a lot of the loose threads in seasons 1 and 2, and just really milked those seasons for great story.
But
Um,
that's good sci-fi, and that's actually my favorite shows, and we did it on 24 too. I mean, it's kind of creating the world is what it does. It becomes more than one episode. Suddenly, it's like you're calling back to characters from other seasons, which again we did also on 24. And I think all good shows do it. I think they hark back to that, and then it makes it just like one big movie and creates one world that exists where people come and go. So they could be there one season and show up 3 seasons later, and so that's I think part of it, and good sci-fi really sort of sticks to that canon. And once they've said it, sci-fi is a little different because you're setting rules up as opposed to just doing a normal kind of television show where all the rules are basically our rules. But the second you're setting sci-fi up, then you're held to a more strict a more strict bunch of rules when you're writing.
yeah. John, Nerdporeal Lifeform asked here about the maybe the season finale. Will the season finale be the longest episode?
No, actually, I think the next one is long, and well, look, they're all over an hour. That's all I can tell you. I can't quite remember the times. I think the longest one was the one you just saw, and I think the next one's long also, and I'm pretty sure the last one's over an hour also. So, and an hour when you think about it with a 42-minute show, that's 18 minutes more of content. It's a lot. It's a lot. Just even at an hour, it's a lot of content. And I think you can flesh the stories out. Not to mention, you wouldn't get those beautiful fly-ins to planets, those beautiful shots of the Orville that Brandon and his team and Brooke and all those guys are doing, on visual effects. It's just they're such gorgeous shots that if you were trying to get it down to 42 minutes, you would never see those shots. They'd get cut out.
The Moclan colony planet was it looked amazing.
Yeah,
In the nebula and it looked amazing. Wow.
Well, let's talk about the stuff that didn't look amazing. Good luck. That's a short conversation. This is the best team I've ever worked with, and their work has been just absolutely unbelievable. I mean, just unbelievable.
Yeah. Are you willing to field a few questions from the chat,
Yes,
John?
absolutely. That's why,
Guys, you go ahead and ask fire away questions. Let's see. Potato Reven says, love the Orville. Also question, how fast do Moclans age? Or okay, so I guess the question is related to Topa aging quickly. How fast do the Moclans age?
yeah, we talked about that. I remember conversations of that. So they do age faster than humans do, obviously, because of the way Topa age. So yeah, they do age a little faster. But again, it's also hard to tell how many years went by within the seasons. There's no real sort of there's no real timeline there that you could adhere to completely. I mean, obviously, Topa is actually the one thing where we can see that time has gone by.
Yeah, absolutely. John, what was probably? Can you tell us about? Because I mean, this has been 3 years in the making. Can you tell us some of your most difficult moments in filming in these last 3 years?
Well, first of all, making a television show and then making a sci-fi television show is difficult enough as it is. I mean, I've made all sorts. I've worked in all the genres, and sci-fi is especially difficult because first of all, you have to almost make everything, and everything has to fit. So that's already difficult. And then you're going to different worlds, and you're talking about different species. So all of that is difficult. Then you throw COVID on top of that and make us have to wear masks and do everything that we had to do. the testing and all of that, it just made it so difficult. And I don't know if you know this, but we weren't allowed to have more than 20 extras once we came back from
Yeah.
Orville. So those big scenes, like for example, the scene with Bordis, in the shuttle bay singing to the whole crew, those were shot virtually on the last days. And then there's a big extra scene in the final episode, and those two were purposely kept to the last days, because when we first came back, we could only have 20 people, and that was it. And so, and again,
Wow.
Seth didn't want to do duplication. He wanted a couple of hundred people there, and that's what you'll see in well, that's what you saw in the one episode, and you're going to see it, a little less than that in the last episode. But we have to save those for the last day, because that's when the rules starting to lighten up a bit. And even then, we could have 100. This was really something else. We could have 100, which virtually filled half of the shuttle bay, when you see the big wide shot, and we could only have the second 100 for 15 minutes. So
Wow.
so I had 4 cameras for that scene, and we rehearsed the 4 cameras without the second 100 people in there, just with the first 100, and we were ready to go. We brought them in, we sat them down, we shot them for 7.5 minutes, which was the song plus a couple of takes on the song. We send them all out again, and then we put the cameras on the other side so we could be over them to board us, so you could see all the crowd again and the high shots. And we shot again for another 7.5 minutes and got them all out again. So
Wow.
that was quite the challenge. And you also have to know too, and I've got some video, I guess I'll put it on my TikTok at some point, that every time you see a character in makeup, that's one special effects makeup person. So we had over 60 people in prosthetic makeup for those big scenes, which means I've got a shot of like a studio that was empty that we took over with 60 makeup desks and 60 people getting alien makeup being put on them. 60 that were just working on our show alone that day.
And for example, when you did that big krill crowd on the krill planet, how many people were how many did you have?
We were over 60. I think that was our record, and that was huge. I think that was closer to 70. I have to say, I don't know the exact numbers. A lot of our problems answering a lot of these questions is that a lot of this stuff happened virtually a year ago. So trying to remember all this is difficult for us sometimes. But yeah, that was in that same range. But that was before COVID, so that was a little different.
John, if this question is going to be obviously on everybody's mind. Nate asked this question. If they announce season 4, when they announce season 4, when do you think it'll be? Obviously, I think season 3 will have to finish. I think, right?
Yeah, and I can tell you that there's an appetite to do it from most of us. I think, including Seth. So that's a good thing. That's the first thing that needs to happen. So I think that's happened. And so he's been, pretty clear saying that he'd be interested in doing it again. And now it's just a matter of, it's a matter of dollars and cents as part of it, when this happens. And so it'll be Hulu, Disney, Fox, it's all one thing now, and them deciding whether they want to, want another season. And we keep asking the viewers to view. I would say that if you have Hulu and Disney Channel, and I know you've been watching on Hulu, go over in Disney Channel, watch them all again there, just to get the numbers up there. I mean, it's a silly way to sort of ask for you guys to do this, but that is what is going to be the metric that's going to make them sort of decide to do it.
So when it goes on Disney Plus, guys, we'll do our rewatch on Disney Plus, guys. Everybody.
See, the Canadians, and I know there's Canadians. I've seen a few Canadians on your chat here. They know that because we've been watching it on Disney Plus, and I was in Toronto doing Kiefer's new show. It's called Rabbit Hole, and I was shooting in Toronto, so I was actually watching all the episodes on their Thursday night drops on Disney Channel, which I got to tell you was kind of cool, seeing like Orville up there beside the Star Wars stuff, and it was kind of neat seeing that we were up there with Star Wars and Marvel. So you'll get to do that August 10th. You'll get to see us on the banners.
So it will not be on Hulu then, John?
It will be. It'll be on both.
Oh, we'll still be on Hulu. Okay.
It'll be on both. Yeah, and in most countries, that's where it's dropped. The countries where Hulu doesn't exist, it's dropped on Disney Channel. So in Canada, it was on on Disney Channel. So I've already seen it on Disney Channel. It's kind of neat to see it there with all the other shows.
We Mr. Lundell asks John, and I think I'm not sure how you want to answer this question, but how much time is initially put into the CGI? I mean, those guys spend a lot of time, right?
It's virtually the whole season. I mean, they start. The second the scripts come out, they're already starting to plan and storyboard and previs and do all those things. And I have conversations with them, but Brandon starts on it right away because it takes such a long time. And we had, I mean, I think Brandon, I thought somewhere they put all the vendors out, or maybe it was just an internal document, but there wasn't a single visual effects vendor in town that we weren't using, and we had them in Montreal.
Wow.
We had these, like everybody was working on this show. I mean, you could see the size of it, and at some point you should get Brandon on this show to just talk about numbers, because I think one of our episodes, I think the next episode is the biggest for visual effects, and it almost had, I want to say, almost 2,000 shots. I think the original Star Wars had like 300 or 400. So
Wow.
that gives you just and, you know, my numbers aren't completely accurate, but that gives you an idea of where it was. I think it's even more than Force Awakens, quite honestly, the number of visual effect shots we have in our next episode. It's
these are
absolutely massive.
These are truly 10 movies that we have gotten, right, John?
Yeah, I mean, we were saying that all the time. We were saying that while we were shooting it, well before we started talking to you guys about what was coming. We were already saying, I mean, you know, when I joke about episode 3, but it's the one that always comes to mind because, you know, as I read from page to page, I just kept going, wait, is this truly all in one episode? We're doing a plane crash. We're doing a raft on a lake. Like, all the things that we had to do in that one episode were just so huge. And I just thought, wow, this is, I mean, right away I was thinking, this is a whole different ball game here. You know, this is we've definitely stepped up. I mean, Seth, he said he was going to do it, and he wasn't exaggerating. He definitely stepped up. I mean, this is everything Seth always wanted in a sci-fi show. This is his baby. This is, with no limits, this is what you get, and this is what we had, you know, on the show.
Wow. Tink from Orville 24/7 asks, does Mrs. Cassar watch the show with you?
Hell yeah. And it's she's actually a bigger sci-fi than I am, because I joke about this, and I hope all the Trekkies don't attack me, but I used to say that I love Next Generation because it was one of my favorite shows, because I'd say to my wife and kids, look, Next Generation is on, and they'd go and watch, and I'd have an hour to do whatever I wanted. So that was my Star Trek joke. But yeah, she does, and she also watches 24. It was really interesting because, you know, I could have given her the episodes well ahead of time. Same with Orville, and she never wants that. She wants to see it. She wants to see it like everybody else sees it, you know, and react to it that way. So she's my audience that I get to sit beside. And if you remember 24, when poor Edgar died in the when the gas hit CTU. I got a punch in the chest so hard from her, you wouldn't believe it. And I kept saying, I didn't write it, I just shot it.
Pollo Sabatos from the Writer Brothers, he's a writer, John, asks, how do you guys wrap up a discussion while simultaneously leaving it open for later episodes and further investigation? I guess it's how, with regards to developing and writing the episodes, is the question.
Yeah, you know, I'm not privy to that. By the time I come on, the episodes are all written. So I'm not, you know, I was a little bit involved in 24 over the years in the writer's room, just very, very little. But on this show, I wasn't at all. So that's all something that happens in that room. And, you know, the writer's room, and you know, people are like, why is there, I saw some people talking about too much Mocklin or not enough this and not enough that. You know, you've got 10 episodes, you break the stories, you do the best 10 episodes you can. You know, you spread it around. I mean, everyone gets a little bit, you know, of their own episode, but basically you go where the story takes you. And the story this year was sort of, you know, a little bit heavy on the Mocklin side, but it works on many levels, not just for Topa, but it also works on the grand scheme of the world of the Orville and what's happening with all the sort of the planetary union and everyone involved in that. So, you know, you're always going to just put out your 10 best stories. You break the stories in there, you all talk about it, and then you go with your 10 best stories, and that's what we did. I mean, it would be fun if we had more. I would have loved to have more, but it took us long enough to do those 10. So you know, that's what we could do.
John, it's such an honor to have you here. Can you take a few more questions?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm ready to go.
Medallion is asking here jokingly about Dolly. Do you want to describe how you guys had shipped, like you guys shipped the set to Dolly? Do you want to talk about how you guys did that?
Yeah, sorry. And if you want to see more of that, Tom, you know, our friend Tom, the editor, put out a whole sort of thing on Twitter, I think, and really laid out how we did it. But I'll go through it. So basically, you know, Seth wanted Dolly for a cameo. We set her up so nicely in other seasons, and so he wanted her, and it was tough. It wasn't easy to get through to her and get to her people, and he got a lot of no's, but he's Seth, and he kept trying and he kept trying, and he finally found someone within her world that loved the show as much as, you know, we do, basically, and you do. And so that person, I think, helped, you know, get Dolly on our side. And then Dolly, I mean, Dolly always loved it, but, you know, she's got lots to do, obviously. And then it was truly right in the height of COVID. And so the problem became is there was no way she was getting on a plane. Then she invited us to go there, but then she was like, but you have to use our crew. We don't want you bringing a whole bunch of people here. We want to limit it. So it became me and Seth, because I was directing the episode, and Seth obviously was going to be there. And then we did take Havina. We did take her to be with us, so she could have someone off camera, and then a makeup person that could make her up, and that was it. And so we were only allowed to bring 4 people. So we thought, well, how are we going to do this? Because, you know, the show depends on your crew. We have certain camera operators and the DP, and all of that are part of that show. To suddenly give it to a bunch of people that we don't know, that's not something we wanted to do. So basically, we came up with the idea, and I've done something like this before. So I said, this could be done, is let's build a set here. Let's rehearse it here. Let's have doubles. Let's virtually figure out all our exact shots. Let's even do the lighting. And then we'll send everything to them and make it so easy for them to do exactly what we do, basically, because we've already set the lighting. We know the lenses. We know exactly where the cameras are going to go. And that way, you know, we can do it that way and then not take up much of her time. So we virtually cut the set in half. We built the cabin first.
Wow.
They virtually sawed it in half, left the one half in LA that was going to be on Havina's side, and then sent the other one by truck to Nashville ahead of us. We went in on a private plane first thing in the morning. We were there less than 24 hours. We landed at night. We were tested because obviously we had to be tested before we went and met Dolly and her crew. We were tested. The next morning we woke up. We hit the studio early. We shot it very quickly. She was so good. We had a teleprompter. She didn't need it. She knew her stuff inside out. She added some lines, of course, which of course she did because she's so smart. And we were out of there by noon. So
wow,
the whole thing was less than 24 hours. We were in and out so fast. It was crazy. And so, and then we did it, and we had the camera operators, and then I could work with the camera operators once we knew what the positions were, and we had it all laid out. We knew exactly what the shots were, so there was no trying to figure stuff out. We knew exactly what it was. We put the marks down for Dolly. She was happy with those marks. You know, if she wanted to change them, we would have, but they fell into what she wanted to do, and then she sang a song for us, and we got on her plane, and we were gone.
How excited is she now that she's like being immortalized in this universe? Is she excited about it?
Well, she was really excited about doing it, and as you can see, she's been posting stuff. So and it was a really great experience. You could tell that it was, you know, she loved that we were so prepared and ready, and we didn't waste her time, and she loved the dialogue. She loved telling that story, and so it was, you know, it was just one of those great win-win-wins all the way around. And then the last win, of course, is you guys getting to see Dolly.
You can see you see the picture I'm sharing here, right, John?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see.
John
Reed.
I like John Reed. He's a good guy.
He's a good guy.
We're always chatting online.
John asked, whose idea was the shot with the Orville leaping out of quantum right at us and into the pan around to space dock? Says John.
That's all. That's all Brandon and his team. That's all Brandon and his team. I mean, Seth obviously has the last say in everything, quite honestly. So all the visual effects have to go through him, and and I've seen him be very detailed as to like, where everyone else would be like, yeah, that looks fantastic. He's like, no, that doesn't look right, and that has to be fixed, and that has to be done. So it's a lot of work, but Brandon and his team. I mean. He's just got a great team there, and so they're the ones that sort of put that stuff together. And Brandon's like a little kid in a candy store when it comes to that kind of stuff. He's constantly coming up and showing me what he's doing, and it's very exciting. And he's so talented. It's unbelievable. His talent's incredible.
Um, Jessica Castillo asks, is the quantum drive sound recipe under lock and key?
I'm not sure what that means.
I guess it's the
Recipe?
I guess it's the exact, like the explanation of how the quantum drive works, maybe.
Well, you know that we have Andre on our crew, right? And
Yeah.
Andre works on the Bill Nye show also, and he's virtually our resident scientist. So nothing gets said on this show about science that doesn't go through his filter first. So everything we say about the quantum drive, the number of light years it takes to get places, all of that is vetted. All of that. Seth is very, very picky about that stuff and wants to make sure it's as real as much information as we really know about the things we're dealing with. But yeah, I guess there's a recipe somewhere for a quantum drive, but no one's found it yet. Otherwise, we'd all be flying around up there.
Bobby Delta Yankee asks John, are we going to get a behind the scenes documentary for season 3?
I'm not sure you are, quite honestly. I'm not sure we shot much. I think what Tom and I put out is probably as much as we'll ever get in some of the actors' videos. It's just there's certain kind of shows that you just don't do a lot of behind the scenes documentary. It kind of sometimes bumps the flow of the show, and this was one of them. It just wasn't one of those shows. We did lots of interviews later and behind the scenes stuff, interviews that we've done all after the fact, but we didn't quite do any while we were doing it. So I don't think so, unless they were sneakily shooting that I didn't see.
John Potato Reven asks about Orville merch, and do you think there's a lack of it? Do you think there should be more?
I mean, anyone in any show always thinks there's a lack of it. I mean, it's great that stuff is coming out. It's great that we got the ships and we got some of the weapons that people could buy, which are kind of neat. I know Seth is really behind it because again, he's as big a sci-fi geek as any one of us, and so I know that we're always talking about our Star Wars figures when we were kids, and I think he would love if any company stepped up to do that. I think part of it is toy companies need to feel that there's virtually millions and millions and millions of people watching the show, and so there's a number, I guess, that toy companies want to have before they get involved. So I think that's part of it, and then it depends what Disney wants to do, and Hulu and Fox and whatever they want to do. It's always up to them, but I know there's no resistance from our end to put more merchandising and stuff
out. Thank you, Jessica, for joining a channel membership. Let's see. Elihu says, out of all 3 seasons, what special cameo person did you enjoy working with the most?
Spoiler free. Yeah, it'll be spoiler free. Well, obviously Dolly was pretty special, but I mean, all of them are. It's so much fun when they come in, and they come in with such enthusiasm. It's like they all want to be on our show. They're not. Nobody's cameoing on the show begrudgingly. We've had our. I think somebody put. I think I saw somewhere online that we've had over 30 people from Star Trek, from former Star Treks, which is
that much.
Yeah, that someone had to lay them all out. It was pretty interesting how many we've had. So I mean, Carlos Bernard was kind of interesting. From the 24 side to work with Carlos on a sci-fi show was kind of fun. After working with him for 8 years on 24. So yeah, that's fun. I mean, everyone that came in was great, and like I said, they loved being there. So that's really the best part.
Wow. And do you want to? Can you share can you remind people what Lex is doing on the show?
Lexus Cassar is my son, and he's a concept designer, and basically he was the head concept designer on the show. So, for example, I think the rifles he those were completely his design. The Mauchline rifles, I know for sure, were completely his design. He actually also designed the president's face, the
Oh,
prosthetics.
really?
Yeah, he designed that. He did a lot of concept art where you basically go to a location and say, well, here's what the location looks like, but here's what it's going to look like when we're finished with it. You know, whether it's the effects that we're going to add, whether it's builds that we're going to do. So that's basically what concept art. So you have an idea of what it's going to look like, which is really important when you're shooting. So you take all that into consideration as you're shooting. I think he's put some of his concept art up. You could see and you could see how amazingly the same the shots are from his concept art to what we shoot. So that's what he's doing, and he's working on Ted right now too with Seth.
Oh, wow, awesome.
And,
Yeah,
and
I
on
used to
Ted,
be subbed to his Twitch channel.
yeah, he was on Twitch. I think on Ted he was actually designing the sets.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah,
Okay. I look forward to that. That sounds fun.
yeah. Two Cassars working on the show, which is kind of cool.
Dr. Omega asks, this may be too much into the weeds, but will we ever learn the names of all the Union Council alien races? A tech or manual, perhaps? A tech or reference manual?
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. I mean, those are the kind of things that usually come out after. I know even on 24, someone put out a manual that even blew me away. I had no idea that, they really sort of, got into, like you say, got into the weeds and sort of, dug into everything we ever said about CTU and put out this unbelievable CTU manual that if you ever wanted to be an agent, you just had to read that, you'd be set. And so I'm sure that at some point, someone will put something like that out. And put that together. There's nothing that exists right now, but I'm sure somebody will do something. And of course, every season you go, there's more content for that kind of thing.
John, it was a very interesting call to make that first episode of season 3, that very serious tone. By the way, I'm a clinical psychologist, and I thought you guys handled the suicide issue very, very well. But do you want to? Can you say what made you guys kick off the season with that episode?
Again, it's all Seth, and Seth has it all planned out, to a T. There's no oh, you don't have the next script. We don't know what the next script is. He's written the whole season as a 10-hour movie. Put it that way. So everything from the beginning right to the end is all going to be connected. When you see that last episode, it all connects by the time it gets to the end. The last 2 you'll see connect a lot of stories that we set up. So they're not one-offs, and he always wanted that kind of Star Trek, a little bit, the continuity of story, but every episode has its own sort of beginning, middle, and end. That was really important for him. So, those are the decisions that he makes, and he wants to do what real sci-fi does. It wants to hold a mirror up to us and our society and some of the things that are happening in our world. Some of them, amazingly enough, were so dead on timing wise, considering some of this, some of these shows were written virtually almost 2 years, almost 3 years ago. They were written, and they were like, when they came out, they were unbelievably close to what was happening in the world. I'm also noticing my phone battery is dying. So if I suddenly disappear, it's not because I'm angry or anything.
Okay.
I have my iPad right beside me, so I can always connect back on.
All right, John. Well, it's an honor to have you here. So whenever you need to go, or if you want to come back, it's up to you. Deej asks, out of all the shows you have done, John, which is the best you have enjoyed, or which is the one you've most enjoyed?
That's a tough one. I mean, there's so many genres that I've done. I mean, I'm really proud of 24. Obviously, that was seven long years of my life that I enjoyed every second. I'm the kind of guy, I love what I do. So I enjoy every day going to work, and I enjoy doing different genres. I mean, I really loved the Kennedys. That was one of my favorite things, because I got to direct all episodes, all 8 episodes of it. And it was my first time dealing with the true life story. I've never, as a director, TV directors, we really just, mostly doing fictionalized stories. So to actually deal with a story and then research and do all of that, and then just get a little crazy when it came to the details, because I just thought, look, there's pictures and video and old film of what we're shooting. I want it to be exactly the same, like exactly the same. And if you watch some of the shows, some of the things we did on that show, like for example, here's a great example of it when we did Bobby's last speech when he was on stage before he went into the kitchen. We had the podium exactly the same. The microphones were exactly the same. Some of the extras around were exactly the same. And there was a sticker someone had put on the podium that said Kennedy on it, Kennedy for president, whatever the sticker said. But they put it up, and I remember checking with the actual picture, and the props people put it up completely straight. And I looked at the picture, and it wasn't straight; it was crooked, because someone virtually, one of the audience members reached up and just stuck it on the podium, and so it wasn't straight. And the prop guy said, "Well, we should probably do it straight." I said, "No, do it exactly like the picture. I want it exactly the same." He said, "But it's going to look weird." I said, "I don't care. That's exactly how it was. I want it to be exactly the same." So I became a little fanatical on
John, you have no idea how that attention to detail means to sci-fi fans. The fact that you go that extra mile.
Well, and we do in the sci-fi world too. I mean, there's no way anyone gets away with doing anything different than we did before. I mean, stuff could slip through, and stuff does, but I'm telling you, we're pretty. Everyone is on it. The script assistants on it, the actors themselves are on it, the crew is on it. I've had crew tap me on the shoulder and go, "Shouldn't that be like that? Because we did that last episode." It's like, yes, it should. You're right. So it's one of those things that everybody is in tune with, making sure that we stay consistent with our storytelling and our visuals.
Wow. Yeah. And Alicia asks, so will we ever see a formal Orville dress uniform?
Maybe. Maybe. All I'm saying.
And I think she says she would want to include those formal or uniforms in her wedding. I think she says. So interesting idea.
That's a really cool idea. An Orville wedding. I like that. Almost got to do it. If someone does an Orville wedding, invite me, will you? What's that?
Claire always eats at Muska's, but we haven't seen the big guy all season. Where's Sasso hiding? Says Dr. Omega.
Well, that's part of the problem with cameos, is that you don't own the people that do cameos. Like, we own our main cast, obviously, but people like Will Sasso and Jason Alexander and stuff, they also have other careers. Obviously, they're not just cameos on the Orville. So sometimes it's just a matter of not being able to get someone. I mean, that's most of the time that's what it is. Or again, all the shows are written and figured out. So, Seth has a reason to put everyone in and not put people in. So
Muska, a lot of times the fans bring up Muska's. Is that it's a real place on the Orville? It's not clear. It's not. Is it on the simulator, or is it a real place?
Real place. Real place on the Orville. It's what we figured. It's like you've got when you're on a cruise ship or you're in a hotel. You got the quickie place, and then you got the place that is a little nicer that you can take your date to. So that's Muska's basically. It's the date restaurant.
Great.
Kind of everybody. Anytime we're there is someone on a date. That's why I call it the date restaurant.
Yeah, it's true. It is a date restaurant.
I mean, I'm not gonna take the cafeteria to the mess hall for a date. I mean, come
on. Is there anything? Do you see the fans picking up on all the details that are coming up in the episodes, or do you think that there are clues left not talked about?
You rarely miss anything. I mean, between all of you chatting about it and talking about it, it's amazing. And then there's stuff that I always go, "Oh yeah, look at that! I didn't notice that." So I mean, you guys look at it with a finer tooth comb than we do. I mean, we do as far as what I just talked about, but I mean, I always look at the story first, and I just want to make sure that story works. And there's always choices. I know the big one is, why are people standing in the shuttle instead of sitting down? That's a really good question, especially since we have great comfortable seats behind them. But again, it's just one of those things. And how does gravity work on ships anyways? What happens when you're spinning around? So, I mean, all of that is, it's just something we've done for years, I think, in that style of sci-fi, and that's what it is. I mean, if you want to start getting nitpicking about that, that's fine. But at the end of the day, you should just be enjoying the stories. If you want to nitpick, you can nitpick anything. Anyone can nitpick
Yeah,
anything,
for
and
sure.
so, and some of it's interesting, and some of it I kind of laugh at, and some of it I go, boy, if you were nitpicking on that, you really weren't watching the stories. And the other problem is too, is that when television and even early television, it was all meant to be watched once. It wasn't until later that television started doing reruns, and movies were meant to be watched in theaters. They weren't ever meant to be watched on a DVD player, or now even streaming, where you can watch them over and over again and watch them frame by frame and find all the mistakes. That's
That's
just not,
interesting. Yeah, yeah, that's a good point.
it's not fair. And so I virtually, anytime someone finds a mistake, my first question is, did you find it the first time you watched it? No. Okay, then we did our job. Our job is to tell the story in a way that nothing bumps you. And if nothing bumps you the first time you saw it, then we did our job. If you're going to go over and go frame by frame, I can name huge mistakes in the biggest movies. I've seen them all. I've got a lot of them. I keep them. But again, did I see it the first time? No. I mean, there's some in Jaws that are unbelievable. Terminator 2, unbelievable. In fact, Spielberg says, next time you watch Jaws, turn the sound off and watch the water behind the people on the boat. He said, it's never the same. One person's on one side of the boat and the waves are 2 feet high. The other side of the boat, it's all nice, And he said, because they tried to match the water and realized there's not a hope in hell. Water changes every 10 minutes on the ocean. And so, did it make Jaws a bad movie? Did it take you out of it? No. Now that you're going to watch it and see it and go, oh my God, that's a big mistake. But again, we do it for the first time around. We're doing it just for the first time around. After that, all bets are off. In my
John, thank you so much for answering these questions. A lot of the people, a lot of us, we're just, it's, San Diego is so far for so many of us. So it's a real treat. Alicia asks, do you have a favorite alien species?
alien favorite species. Oh, that's an interesting question. Would you include a Kalon as an alien species? Not, is it? I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
I kind of like the Kalon. I gotta tell you, they're kind of assholes, but I like them. There's something really kind of interesting about them, and now that you know their backstory, I think that's when I started like
So
leaning into the Kalons, knowing what happened to them.
you mean you mean the AIs, right? Because a lot
Yeah.
of us are calling their creators the biological Kalons. What do you guys call them?
Well, I guess, yeah. Well, we don't call them the Kalons. I mean, we call the Kalons the Kalons. We call the AIs the Kalons, but I guess they are too. I suppose. I mean, I'm not sure what their name is. I think maybe we mentioned it at some point. I can't quite remember. But yeah, I think they're just really interesting. You know, as they try to, especially Isaac. He's just, and I love when he turns human, and he's still he's still a Kalon when he's in human disguise.
It's interesting because a lot of us have been saying that this season, Isaac has been acting more human than some of the crew.
Yeah, I think us humans are getting to him. I think it's seeping in there somehow. I think all that time spending with Penny. I think, look, if you spend any time with Penny, you're going to be more human. I'm telling you right now.
Elihu asks, and whenever you got to go, let me know, John. Elihu asks, is the reason there's no back panels on the bridge because of reflection of studio lights?
Back panels? What's back panels? What's that mean?
So I said, is the reason there is no back panels on the bridge is because of the reflections on studio lights? TNG had to use black cardboard. I guess.
Oh, that's all. You know how we redid the bridge this year, how you've got that whole new sort of tech walls that are there that weren't there
Yeah.
before, right? Those are all panels. Those are all televisions. Those are all so, and all the panels all the way around, all the control. Those are all panels. If that's what you're talking about, televisions are all televisions. We do have to deal with reflections, but we deal with them. This is not something, TNG. That's a while ago. So I think we've come much forward than that. So those are all televisions. All those controls that you see and all that moving stuff is all television. So
Okay. Lord Ses Shaku asks, how long does it take to shoot one episode? Or I mean, this season was kind of peculiar,
yeah,
but
very different. So a regular television episode, for example, I'm doing FBI right now, and it's 10 days. Now that's bumped up. It used to be 8 or 9 is what it used to be, and because of COVID now, it's bumped up because we're trying not to do the big 12-hour days. Everyone's trying to do 10 to 11-hour days, so there's an extra day or two now that's happening. Our episodes were anywhere from 15 to about 20 days for the episodes you're watching. But again, if you calculate it time wise, it still comes out to the same average as 8 or 9 days. Quite honestly, they were just longer because the shows were 20 minutes long. All of them were at least 18 minutes over, and most of them were almost 2 episodes. Quite honestly, at 126, that's almost 2 full episodes. So they were definitely longer.
wow.
And just so you know, when we came back, and we were able to do this because only Seth and I were directing on the show. We didn't have directors coming and going. When we came back from COVID, it was just a nightmare of scheduling. We had 3 pregnant actresses that we had to work around for obvious reasons, and
Wow.
so that was really difficult. And then we had scenes that had extras that we didn't want to do, and there were locations we couldn't go to because they didn't want us there because of COVID. So there was all of that. There was so much happening that we were 5 episodes in, so we had half the season left to go. I think we were 4.5. We weren't in full 5 finished, and we virtually just did the rest of the season all as one long schedule. So there was no rhyme or reason. We virtually shot whatever we could shoot on those days, whoever was available. So, Jessica wasn't available for a long period of time. And so we had to shoot everything that didn't have Jessica. And then we had another actress that wasn't available. So we had to shoot all the stuff without her. And then once she came, we had to shoot everything with her. And,
Wow.
and so a lot of that was really, really unbelievable. But again, because Seth and I were both directing, on any given day, I'd be directing a couple of scenes, he'd be directing a couple of scenes. I'd be gone doing stuff. He'd direct for me. I'd direct for him. Some second unit stuff like the big action stuff in the first episode. So it was truly the Coen brothers.
So is that an advantage then, instead of, I mean, it could have its advantages, right? Instead of having a new director come in for every episode.
Massive advantage. Massive advantage. We couldn't have done it that way because every director is allowed to shoot his stuff. So say for example, you shoot your 10 days and there's 2 extra days. And even if they're 2 months from now, you get the invitation. You have to, by the Directors Guild, you're invited to come back and shoot it. So you can imagine that if your episode was spread over 8 months,
Yeah.
what it'd be like. Calls to go, okay, another day here, another day there. It would have been a living nightmare. I mean, we would have never been able to do it, quite honestly.
Wow.
So it was a huge advantage that it was just the 2 of us doing it. And we both know the show. We know what the show should look like, what it feels like, the actors, and so there's just a shorthand that we both had with each other and for the show that just made it, smart to do it that way.
Are you? I think this is already a consensus, but do you and Seth call Orville fans Orvillians? Is that what the consensus is?
I know it came out the other day. I voted on Orvillian. I mean, that sounded good to me. I don't know what the other options were, but I think I don't think we don't really give you a name. We just say our fans, our loyal fans.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you, John, for sharing all the extra Orville with us, and thanks for the excellent work, says Maria Tiantelli.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, and I appreciate that you're watching. I really am, and I appreciate you and putting these things together, putting like Orville Nation and putting all these chats together. And it's really important to keep the fan base going. And it's so much fun to be able to talk. I was actually one of the first ones for the boards on 24. I don't know if you said you were a 24 fan. I don't know
Yeah.
if you the boards before we had sort of social networks as they are now.
I knew about it, but I didn't really participate. No.
Like the chat boards, and then there was something else I did on 24, which was crazy. Is that we put a real phone number up once by mistake, not by mistake. The prop guy was doing an insert, and he just put his phone up there, and it had a phone number on it. And seconds from the show airing, we started getting calls, and virtually calls. I'm not exaggerating, from around the world within the next month for that.
Wow.
And so instead of just ignoring it, we started answering it, and we'd answer it, and we'd talk to people. And I would be on set, and I'd say, "Hold on a sec, I got to call action." And I'd say action, and we'd like finish the scene. I go, "Oh, here's Carlos. You want to talk to Carlos?" And so Carlos, and even Kiefer took a couple of calls. And so interacting with the fans a long time ago. We've always known the importance of having you involved, and we talk about you all the time. I said in one of my last posts, we're always like, on 24 was the same thing. The fans are going to love this. We're going to surprise them here. We can't do this. They're too smart. They're going to figure this one out. We got to hide this better. Like all of that kind of stuff is conversations we have only because we're interacting with you on a regular basis. And I know some shows don't, but all the shows that I deal with definitely do.
Well, that really means a lot to everybody who's listening, John, and thank you for saying that. I mean, I think we can tell it's very evident, and you're very present on social media, and Tom is above and beyond on social media. And
Tom is the king of social media for us. Thank God we have Tom. He's so great, at putting everything out there and keeping you all involved.
Yeah. Is there anything that John, if you get or when you guys get greenlit for season 4, theoretically, I'm not saying, theoretically,
I love the positivity. It's good.
what does that look like for you personally? When does John Cassar start to go to work, if that happens?
Well, as a director, even as a producer director, I really don't start till production starts. So, there's a huge writing process. On most shows, the writing is you go, but, Seth doesn't work that way. First of all, he can't because he's involved in the production of it. Unlike most writers that just write and then they're just sort of on the sidelines, he's in production. He's on the show as an actor, and then he's directing. And then he's doing posts, and he's doing the scoring. He does everything. He's a one-man band basically. So he'd have to write all the shows first, and that I think that's I'm going to guess at least a 6 to 10 month process. I would think.
Sure.
So even if it was picked up tomorrow, by the time we went into production, would be a year and a bit, maybe 2 years away. Unfortunately. But again, who knows? Maybe there's a quicker way, and maybe Seth wants it to get out quicker, and he'd put the blasters on it. I'm sure he would anyways.
Well, we've all been speculating that Seth probably has season 4 mostly written already, but that's our speculation.
Written, but he's the kind of guy that I'll guarantee you he's got 10 great stories sitting in his head right now, not to mention Brandon and Andre and Mr. Goodman and all those guys. I mean, they're just all so good, and so I mean, I'm not a writer, but I always think there's it gets a little easier, I think, every season you go, because you've got so much canon to go back to if you wanted to, so I think I think there's still stories that that we could do that we can get deeper into. I think I love what they did with Gordon's story, the romance story. The way we came back to that was brilliant. I think just absolutely brilliant.
Oh yeah, absolutely, it was brilliant. I mean, I don't know if it's fair to ask you this question, John, but when we see Gordon thrown back from the by the ray, right, and we see these 5 Gordons, I mean, can we speculate that maybe Gordon's family is still alive out there in an alternate timeline?
Yes, because it's going to make you feel better if you speculate that. So yes, I would say yes.
Okay.
No one wants that beautiful go away. As Seth too, she had her own family in another timeline that he destroyed by getting there.
That's
You
true. Yeah.
that's the other thing that everyone just kind of forgot, and that's part of it. And then I love the whole fact that there's a law about time travel. I thought that was brilliant. I've never really seen that anywhere else. Everyone gets a time travel machine. It's like, woohoo, let's go. No one ever thinks about what the ramifications are, and
Yeah.
if we did have one, how it would have to be, restricted and really taken care of because of what it could do.
So
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 I love that there's this law that says there's no way, you've gotta be careful when it happens, if it
so
happens.
John, when the writers come to you with a story, do you sit there and like try to poke holes in it yourself to understand it?
Yeah, I do. I do it less on this show than I do on any other. I mean, on every other show, I'm like, here's my logic questions right away. And you know how I do it? I do it as if I'm you. I'm doing it as if I'm an audience member going, you know what? This is a giveaway and this is not going to work. And I think we need something better here. And I'll do all that. I didn't do any of that on this show. These 10 episodes are really thought out. Everything is there. I mean, there's a couple of bumps that I might say, hey, Seth, what about this? Does this make sense? And usually what I think, is maybe a hole in the story somewhere. He'll explain to me why it is the way it is. And I go, yeah, that makes sense. So they're really well thought out. And you can see it. You can see when you watch them. They're really
Yeah,
tight.
totally.
They're incredibly tight.
Yeah. Stony Girl asks, speaking of old boards, did you ever hang out in Artful Writer?
Oh, is that the name of the board?
Yeah, I think it's the name of the board. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I could never remember the names of boards, I don't think. I just hung out wherever I found 24 fans back then. And there were a lot of you. So I'm sure probably I did at some point.
Will we ever see Kiefer on the Orville?
I
That's
don't
not a fair
think,
question to ask.
I mean, quite honestly, I mean, Seth is a huge fan. Seth is a huge fan of 24. It's one of the reasons I'm on this show. He's a massive fan of 24, and he knew every show and every scene, and he really knows the show. He knows, or as well as he knows Star Trek, quite honestly. But he was a big fan of the show. So, yeah, James Morrison was on our show, on cameoed on Orville, I think in season 1, who was part of our show, part of CTU. And so, yeah, he loves the show. I'm sure if he wanted Kiefer, we would make a push. And if I was involved, I'm sure we could get Kiefer to come and play with us. I'm sure Kiefer would want to be in some makeup, though. Guaranteed.
Oh, really?
Some creature. I'm sure he would.
John, was it a challenge when you were filming 24? Was it a challenge to do 1 hour of screen time be 1 hour in real life? Is
Hell yeah.
that a challenge?
Yeah, it was a really big challenge. And the best story of that is the magic bag. The bag that he started carrying. And I can't remember what year. I think maybe year 3, he started carrying the bag. And the bag was put in because the writers would, kind of lose track of where they were. And they'd be like, okay, so he pulls an extra gun out. And I go, wait, he's got a T-shirt and jeans on. Where was the extra gun come from? There's no way he's got an extra gun. Or he pulls a knife out. Or he pulls the scanner out. They're constantly writing all these things that he pulls out. And I said, guys, I got a solution for you. He's going to carry a bag from the first episode. And then you could pull out whatever the hell you want because it was in the bag the whole time. Because we wrote the episodes as we went. They weren't all written. And so the magic bag became, pull out a scanner, pull out an extra gun, pull out some more ammo, pull out, fingerprint machine, whatever you want to pull out, it's in the bag. So that was one of the solutions to that problem. So yeah, it was tough. Our script assistant, Annie Melville, became sort of the keeper of it all because it's one thing to write the episodes and then kind of go back to those, but then things would change on set and we'd do different things on set. So she'd be the one to be able to go, no, we can't do that because remember the whole thing was always remember that was only an hour ago. Remember that was only 20 minutes ago from where we are now. We're shooting it a month from when we shot the last episode, but in the story, it's only 10 minutes.
That actually brings up a really good point, John, because some people forget that what we're watching on the Orville now just happened a couple months ago, instead of, it's been 3 years for the fans,
Yes,
but but in the story,
that's right.
and some people are forgetting that season 2, because they're back to back, right? Season 2 and 3.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much back to back. So yeah, it's a continuing storyline. You know.
Elihu asks, did Jack never go pee on 24?
He actually, I think once in one of the edits, he went into a room and I put a flushing toilet in. Just so I said, "Look, come on, let's just do this for the fans." But we never left it in the show. He goes pee. He goes pee when you were at the White House. When you're at the White House doing those storylines, that's when he's peeing. When you're with Jack Bauer, that's when the White House people are peeing. I mean, you really want to, you know what? Joel Surnow would not even, after the first season, where I always used to say, I mean, I only did 2 episodes the first season, but it'd be like, it's lunchtime. Let's have people eating lunch. And it's dinner time. Let's have people eating dinner. He virtually took me aside one day and said, I don't want to see a single person eat or drink on the show from here on in. And if you watch the show, you'll notice nobody drinks, nobody eats. And you know why? Because he said, see this 1 second of putting a coffee cup to my mouth? That's letting my audience off the hook for 1 second. And I don't want them off the hook for even 1 second. So he knew exactly what he wanted with that show. And it was all about the tension being ratcheted up and never let go. It's also why we never did any wide shots. If you notice, there's never giant, big wide shots, big establishing shots. There's no establishing shot of CTU ever. Because the second you do that, if you're leaning in, the second there's a wide shot, you go like this. Time to relax a little. And Joel never wanted anyone relaxing. So no one ate, no one drank, and no one went to the washer.
Wow. Interesting. Well, at the same, I mean, it's fair to say too that supposedly those days were not an average day, right? It was an emergency day. So
that was one of the best stories. That after the first season, they were like, okay, what do we do now? And I remember Joel, talking to me about it, and they had all sorts of different ideas. They had an idea of like doing, okay, now we're emergency doctors, and a plane just crashed, and it's like 24 hours of like these emergency doctors, but we use the same cast. And it's like the same cast, but now they're all emergency doctors this year. And then in the third year, they're all policemen. And, so that was one of the ideas. And so there were all these different ideas. There were ideas of doing a prequel, instead of like continuing the story. But then obviously they decided, no, let's just, keep the story going and jump a year or jump a few months or jump a little bit. But then basically it's just one day. So that's basically what we did.
Jessica asks, John, she's talking about Seth. What is some of your, what's your, let me just, it's split here.
Yeah.
Seth as an actor, was there ever a moment with Seth as an actor that you liked the most?
Well, I love
that you directed.
Yeah, well, the first episode with Talea was, when he's dating her basically, and then we reveal she's Krill. I love that episode. That's one of the only sort of Captain Mercer, one of the only Captain Mercer centric episodes, where it's kind of his story, basically. I mean, he's always got a storyline in all of them, but that's the one that I felt, and I thought he did such a great job with it. I remember going to him and saying, do more of these, please. I like to see Mercer kind of on his own without his crew and dealing with things. And I just thought it was a great episode. I think everyone else did too. I thought it was just a really good episode, and showed him sort of without his backup, without his crew, and without his people. It was just basically him. And, he had to deal with things. And so I that's my favorite. And I just love the way he's developed the character. If you really go to like that first episode where he was kind of the bumbling guy that shouldn't have been the captain, if you look at these last few episodes, there's no doubt that he's the captain, and he's really grown into becoming a good captain. I love seeing that progression that he did in this season.
So we've seen. So I guess we're seeing Ed mature, right, and evolve, and and coming into being.
He's grown into good captain. He's made some great decisions, and I think he's as good as any of those other Star Trek captains.
John, I don't want to hold you up anymore, unless I'm
letting my battery die. These batteries last forever on these phones, but
okay.
beside me, but I think when the battery finally goes, which will probably be any second now, that might be it. But
Okay, so
Rubina,
well,
Rubina's fantastic. She's absolutely awesome, 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 awesome. She, I don't think there could have been anyone else that plays Havina. She truly is Havina. She's so good. You know, we threw her a real curveball this year because that was, you know, that took her character. That last episode took her character to a whole darker side, which was really interesting.
John, if your battery's about to die, I just want to say thank you for joining us. I think it means a lot to everybody who's listening and even everybody who's watching on the replay. Thank you for taking some time for you know, for telling us for talking to the fans, because most of us could not be at Comic-Con today. So thank you, John.
Yeah, including me, by the way. So yeah, no, this is great. Look, I love, like I said, we really do it for you. Quite honestly, that's what we do it for. So I love interacting with you, and know that I am watching and reading everything that's out there.
What
So,
that's
we
great,
all
John. John, what's the best way we can support the Orville now, as of
watch
now?
watch it, watch it, watch it, watch it. I mean, you know, there's no real rating system in streaming except for the streamers themselves know exactly how many people are watching.
And
Every
watch it on Disney Plus, right? As of August
got
10th.
it. So now that it's going to Disney Plus, I think Seth is happy because we can do that now. You can go over there and watch it over there. And I think a part of that, quite honestly, and I don't know this for a fact, I think it's been so successful in Canada on Disney Plus and in other places on Disney Plus. I think that's one of the reasons they thought, hey, let's put it on Disney Plus here too. Why not? It's all the same company, just different names and different streamers, but it's all really the same. So go watch it. Watch it all watch it all on Hulu, and then go watch it again on Disney Plus if you have both.
Absolutely. Thank you, John, so much for
Thank you.
joining us. And anything we can do to support you, please let us know.
Okay, we will, and Tom will too for sure. So we love the whole renew the Orville campaign. Happy you guys started.
All right, John. Well, thanks again, and have a great weekend, and be safe.
Yeah, sorry, and apologies for just kind of busting in the way I did.
No,
But
this is your home for you guys. You guys are always welcome here. It's
I
an honor.
figured, you know, I saw people complaining about not being able to go to Comic Con, and I thought, hell, I'm just one of you guys, so let's do our own little mini Comic Con. So there you go.
And John's going to look into maybe being in at New York Comic Con. That's where I saw you, by the way, the first time at New York Comic Con.
Yeah, I remember we were at Comic Con there in New York. It was fun, actually. New York one was fun. Yeah, I'm going to look into that. I'm not sure exactly what my dates are for my next episode of FBI, but I think it's around that time, so it might actually work out.
All right, John. Thanks. Well, I'll let you go before your phone dies then.
Okay, thanks, guys. Keep watching. Please keep watching.
Absolutely. Thank you, John.
Bye.
Bye. Wow, guys, what a treat. Unbelievable. That Jon Cassar dropped by. We did not know he was going to drop by. What a treat. What a treat. Yes, lots of love for John. Lots of love for John, guys. A fascinating professional. And there's a lot of there's a lot of questions we could ask John about his career. It's caught me a little off guard, but we wanted to stay focused on the Orville too. We talked a little bit about 24, and a few other things about the Kennedys. Yeah, thank you guys thanks for your support, guys, and thanks for your questions. We had some great questions, and yeah, we owe John a beer someday. Yes, huge thanks to Jon Cassar. Fabulous. What a treat and you know, it is I'm sure in the future, you know, that now that the Orville is a very established show, I'm sure that Comic-Con, they might handle Comic-Con differently. But it is a shame, like that Comic-Con can't stream, that some of these panels can't be streamed. I know that Comic-Con, thank you, John, and thank you, John and Jessica, for bringing that to my attention. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you both. Both, thank you so much. Um, yeah, wow, it was great. A great surprise interview here. Yeah, it is. It hopefully in the future some of those can be live. At the same time, I'm sure we're going to get a recording of the panel be put up shortly. You know, soon, I would imagine. Um, but actually, it was kind of weird. I filmed part of the myself 3 years ago. I filmed part of the Orville, a good portion of the Orville panel at at New York Comic Con, and that was a real treat. That is on the channel, by the way. That's 3 years old, right after season two. Um, yes, lots of love for John. Wow. Let me catch up here. Yes. Oh, if we were on the edge of our seats all day. We were on the edge of our seats all day. I started later, actually. Excuse me. I started a lot later because I wanted to get clarity on the news. Um, actually, I think we can see what Seth. Let me see if I can play what Seth actually said because he was a recording. Thank you. Yeah, thanks to all of you guys for your support, guys. Wow, I am way behind in the chat. Okay. Let's see if we can play what Seth actually said at Comic Con. It was a recording on the big screen. Let me see. I saw it before. Let's see. He's basically talking about the announcement of Disney. I was a lot of questions that were coming to mind, but I didn't want to put John on the spot with some of my questions. But I definitely see. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Let's see if we can see this. Hold on. Let me share this. I think I see a lot of stuff coming regarding Disney in the future. That's what I'm talking about. But I think that's still ways ahead. So let's see. All right. I have to play this through the speakers. All right, so let's hear what Seth said at Comic Con on this recording.
Hey, Orville fans, Seth MacFarlane here. I am so excited to announce that all 3 seasons of the Orville are coming to Disney Plus on August 10th. We are thrilled to be bringing all of our missions to the platform, so be sure to tune in.
Yeah, let's listen to that one more time. That is a big announcement.
Hey, Orville fans, Seth MacFarlane here. I am so excited to announce that all 3 seasons of the Orville are coming to Disney Plus on August 10th. We are thrilled to be bringing all of our missions to the platform, so be sure to tune in.
So that is a pretty big announcement, actually. Yes, it's the same. Like John said, it's the same company, right? But it's like it is Disney recognizing that the Orville is one of their premier products, right? And yes, and yeah. Hey, John. So yeah, John said it will be available on both. If you have it on Hulu, you'll still have it on Hulu. That's what John said. And I would imagine, of course, too. So, there's John in the chat. Thanks for all the great questions, and of course, for your loyalty to the show. Thank you, John. It was an honor to have you here. It was quite the honor, and it was lots of fun to see you fielding the questions. And it was great. It was really great. A lot of people were very touched by the fact that you were fielding questions from all of us. So thank you, John. I appreciate that. Jon Cassar, everybody. Wow. All right. Let's get back to I was just putting this out before, and I do want to get back to this, guys. This is such a great episode. It deserves discussion. Episode 8, Midnight Blue, is such a great episode. And John is in the chat. So let's see. Let me ask this question, guys. Before we started talking to John, I was asking what you guys thought about Midnight Blue, and I wanted to ask your guys' rating on the episode. So give us a rating from 1 to 10, and a why, and give us a why you gave that rating. Let's do that. There's still a bunch of us here. Let's do that rating of the episode and why you guys gave it that rating. I cannot scroll back to see what some of you guys wrote before. I saw a couple of 8s and 9s. So let us know. Let us know what you guys thought. And thank you, JPRPH1. Yeah, thank you. Did great impromptu interview. It's easier with a guy like John. Yeah, it is. John is very easy to talk to, and I have not spoken to him personally before, but it's very, very easy to talk to. This is by far my top stream I've viewed. Great questions by chat. Yeah, great questions by the chat, and the mods doing a great job. Thank you, JP. I cannot say it like Doomcock does. JP, sorry, JPRPH1. There you go. Thank you, John, for JP for that super chat. Very generous. Thank you, John. JP. All right. Well, first rating we got. Jon Cassar gives it a 10 out of 10. I gotta say, I'm there with him. I was saving my 10, by the way. I was saving my 10, and I am going to give this episode my 10, for sure. This was a fantastic. Moderation is Jessica. Oh, okay. Thank you, Jessica. Medallion says, I gave it my first 10 of 10. So Medallion says he's also giving it his first 10. It felt like the promise of the movie Orville they've been hyping all season. Yeah, it did. It did. It was very complete. It had a little bit of everything. It even had romance. Listen, the Orville has been very good at doing this one thing. The Orville can take a split second in the hour plus of video of screen time, and in a split second will leave you thinking. And the split second in this episode that will leave you thinking was that moment, that very, very brief moment of romantic or sexual tension between Bortus and Kelly. It does leave you thinking about that. Tink says, forget 1 to 10. I give it an 11. 11 to 10, I mean Dolly. Yes, Tink. 11 of 10 is fine. You can give it an 11 out of 10. Midnight Blue, I give it 100 glasses of Upsada out of a possible 100 because it was a flawless episode that hit every mark and cut all the onions in the best way. That very well said. Very well said, Todd. Very well said. Midnight Blue with rare illuminite. Yeah. Now we can't. Now you guys, we got to call. Now you can't just go call lightning bugs, or whatever you have, or whatever. There's other names people call it, lightning bugs, and yeah. Now we got to call them illuminates. JPR PH1 9.5. I was very engaged until the very end of the episode. Absolutely. Yeah, we were very engaged. Yeah. So so JPRPH1 gives it a 9.5. Give him all your money, you'll you'll find it funny. Yeah, that's egotastic. Can't Orville Nation, my rating is now classified information. Oh, Lady Mist. Okay. We'll get it out of you someday, Lady Mist. We'll get it out. Jessica Castillo says 9.5 out of 10. Havina's risk was foolhardy. Yeah, yeah, she was putting a lot. And again, we were talking about at the beginning of the stream. There are a lot of cases of older folks putting giving excessive, throughout history of or even in just real life. If they see so much potential in the young person that sometimes things like this happen, right? John Sapola gives it a 10. John agrees with me then. Nerporial life form, 7.5 to 8 out of 10. Did not like Havina and felt the episode put the Union in their worst position. Other than that, I love Dolly and Bortus and Kelly dynamic. Peter Macon is freaking great. Yes, he is freaking great. Maybe wait for the next one, says John Cassar. By the way, yeah, John, you guys didn't, I don't know if you realized, but John said next one's a doozy. He basically said next one's a doozy. So I can't wait to see that. The Bortus and Kelly thing is very Troy and Worf. Medallion, I was thinking that. I was thinking All Good Things, right? I was thinking Troy and Worf from All Good Things. So that last the finale of TNG. Exactly. I was thinking that exactly, dude. Yeah, do you think so Kelly is going to end up being attracted to Bortus's rugged manliness, right? But he's also kind of Bortus is also kind of opened up his sensitive side, right? Like Worf, right? In the sense that he's a little more open-minded than the other. He's much more open-minded than the other Mocklins, right? Hey, Jeff B, good to see you. The blue Luminite wasn't so lucky for Topa. It wasn't. Yeah. It'd be interesting. One of the I would like to ask the writers this question. So this is an interesting question that I don't think anybody's asked this before. I haven't seen it asked, but it came to my mind that is Topa is Topa gender specific name in the sense that when Topa goes back to being a girl, I guess it doesn't mean that she would change her name in any way. That'd be an interesting question to ask the writers. There was one or two things I didn't like. Potato Reuben. By the way, Potato Reuben is doing great panels on the Orville guys. And Nerdporial is also doing reviews on the episodes. So check those channels out. Guys, put in your channels. We all grow together. Put in your channels. Make sure you are all sub to each other. 8 out of 10. There was one or two things I didn't like. Havina roping in Topa was a awful decision. That torture scene was brutal. The torture scene was kind of cringe to see the torture scene, but again, it's obviously necessary to tell a story, right? You don't want to see the kid but nobody wants to see the kid being brutalized, right? But by the way, the actress, the young actress, she did a spectacular job. Wow. Jessica says, I found it hard to see her warmth. I found it hard to see how her warmth would allow it. It was well written. I wouldn't have had it somehow somehow else, but some focus on maybe her being conflicted before would have helped. Was Havina being conflicted? Jessica, you mean Havina being conflicted, right? Daxon Wharf, says Nurporial. Klein is back in the picture. So is this a love triangle, says Medallion? Yeah. That's going to be interesting. Gently Falling Rain is a 10 out of 10 for me, says Jessica. Yeah, there's a lot of shows in this season that could be given that 10. Absolutely. Love that, Tink, says John. Thank you, Fireflies. Thank you, Lydia. Thank you. This is like one of the things you have when you're streaming is you have these blank moments when you're streaming. I appreciate that. We got to get Lydia and Tink on here someday. I'm going to talk you girls into it someday. Gently Falling Rain was a very strong contender as well for a 10 out of 10. It was. Yeah, absolutely, Medallion. Kleinen is into that whole arm twisting thing. He's into that arm twisting. I love that Orville has favorite characters. That the Orville has favorite characters making bad decisions, like real life. Yeah, listen, that is, some people would say that that's a risky move from the writing standpoint. But it's very reflective of real life. Well said, Dr. O. It's very real life. Yeah, it is very real life. Yes, thank you, Jessica. Fireflies. Hey, Kronos, good to see you. John, thanks, man. Take it easy. Jolene Blaylock. I'd love to see Jolene Blaylock on the Orville. Yes, Potato Reeves channel. I felt putting the union in their worst position showed ramifications of certain policies. Cautionary tales, perhaps. Please don't take my Toba. Borders Kelly, no, that was intimacy of friends confused in a life-death situation. Yeah, you don't think there's even a hint of anything there? There was a foreshadowing moment when they were eating. Tink, you remember when they were eating, they were asked if they were mates. I don't know. So Tink says it's more just friends being confused in a moment of understand. Pollo Sabatos gives it a 7 out of 7. Yes, the Writer Brothers rate out of 7, so that's very high. 7 out of 7. Thank you, Pollo Sabatos. Hey, DJ Ronnie. It's okay. You can say what you want here. You can say what you want. Everybody has always said their true opinions on here. 7.5, DJ Ronnie. Okay. I love doozies, says Medallion. Yeah, next one's a doozy. Lady Miss says, I enjoyed this episode, although some things didn't make sense to me. So 7.8 out of 10, says Lady Mist. Okay. Gotcha. Yes, and again says 10 out of 10 for Dolly and the visuals. Ilos Cocuyos. All right, so Lydia gives it a 10 out of 10 from Lydia from Orville 24/7. Luminite sequence was magical. It was magical. It was very magical, wasn't it? I honestly thought the blue Luminite was a tiny surveillance device, hence why Topa got caught right away. Yeah, I did too. At first, but I think it just happened, right? Captain's reaction said, well, what the hell are you thinking? Yeah, listen, Ed is given, John was talking about at the, toward the end of our conversation about the Ed's, evolution as a character, and he's given some tough lines this season, huh? He's been tough, right? I read that as Savina rapping, does he spit some bars? When did I miss that? Alicia says maybe it was bait. Dr. Mega says the advanced, maybe they made it, the Macklins. Maybe they did. What is a potato? Potato. Potato Reven. That's Potato Reven's channel, guys. Make sure you're subbed. Guys, please put in your channels. I've only seen a couple of you guys put yours in. Nerdporio, that's Nerdporio's channel right there. Havina's desperation as a woman, oppressed all her life, was what drove her to approach. Yeah, listen, Tink brings up a good point. There's a lot of history inside Havina, and she lived her whole life in isolation. She sees so much potential in Topa. Topa lives as a free individual, as a girl, something that Havina didn't even know didn't know what it was like to be. Well, I guess, Havina was not really truly free because she was living in isolation, right? Havina spit some sick bars, yo. All right, guys. Well, that's a 10 out of 10, says Jessica. I feel Troy and Worf analogy works better because of the connection through their bond of their child, says Medallion. I'll talk Havina and Topa any day. Yes, Tink will. Jolene is a famous Dolly Parton song. Forgive me. I'm sorry. I'm such a Trekkie. I was thinking about Jolene Blaylock. Thank you, Medallion. I see. That's true. That's true. That's true. Yeah. Yeah. Troy was there with Alexander. Yeah. Yeah, listen, it was very brief, but it keeps us thinking, right? It keeps us thinking. So I think we had a very special stream today, guys. What I think I'm going to wrap it up, and I'm going to find some time before the next episode to talk some more about this episode. I will probably be on Doomcock tomorrow, and we'll be talking about a lot of things, including the Orville. Doomcock is loving the Orville. As far as I know, for the most part, he's loving it. That's what he's expressed. And so we'll see what he thinks about this episode. And Ed has a lot of dramatic moments this season with getting annoyed at people for bad decisions. Yeah, he does, right, Medallion? He does. Yeah, he does. That's a good way to put it, actually. That is a great way to put it. Ed's reaction was the correct one. Yeah. That's you obviously had to tell. Yeah, there is a right and a wrong. There's a clear right and wrong here, right? Which Havina eventually sees. Um, I was screaming, "Don't go too far!" Yeah, I know, right? First thing I thought about the Illuminates was from Cameron movie Avatar. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it reminded me a little bit. Do you think there is a race that worships teddy bears in the Orville? um, you just made me think about the Furlings from Stargate, dude. Why was anyone surprised? Hey, Phantom Outsider. Why was anyone surprised when Havina and the Moklins acted as they did? Extremists got to be extreme. That's a good point. Yeah, that was a hard line, huh? That was a hard line that Ed's character gave. That episode, by the way, Jessica, that episode, by the way, I want to reiterate that episode, which seemed very controversial for some fans, I want to reiterate that the touching upon, I think it's important. I think Seth did an important job, Seth and the production crew. The fact that they could touch upon an important issue without taking a side. And I have my own positions on this, obviously. But I think it's important that that issues are presented without taking a side, and that's what good sci-fi is about. It also, if this season is about coexistence and getting along, it also shows how in some of those episodes, it also shows how polarized we can be, right? As well as human beings, or as intelligent beings, right? In this case, there's aliens involved, but how polarized we can get. But in the end, we all, we should all try to get along and see our get by our differences, right? And try to live life the best way possible. Dolly's song message is so important right now. I appreciate how this series taps into it now. Yeah, Dolly's just a wonderful, wonderful, positive personality to have in this show. Wow. And to see that Dolly is excited about it, it means a lot to everybody. I wonder if Dolly realizes how big of an impact she has had by appearing on the show, and for the future. I think she is immortalized in this show, right? For years to come, people will be talking about Dolly. Bye, Tank. Good to see you. We're going to wrap up soon. It wasn't desperation. It was extremism. She wanted to save all the females, but puts upon her entire colony at risk. Okay. All right, guys. Well, yeah, wow, I'm really behind in the chat. Okay. Thanks to everybody. Thank you, Jessica and John, for letting us know about John, and I really appreciate that, and John did too. It was a great treat to have it's a great treat to have John here, and we're gonna be all of you guys are watching on the replay. I hope you enjoyed it as well. Let me just check here. Okay, guys. I want to thank everybody again for being here. Thank you for your super chats. Thank you for those of you who signed up as members. We do have the memberships now. We don't do what other channels do. We have just one flat rate for being a member of the channel, and we are going to be doing. I have a kind of a short special stream plan for the members only, and that's going to be announced very soon. We have I'll talk more about that soon. I want to thank everybody for being here. First of all, Jon Cassar, thank you so much. It was an honor to have you here. And we will be back talking more about this episode in a few days. Thank you, John, for answering the questions of everybody in the chat. Thank you for your time. And it was such a great pleasure. So I want to thank everybody who's here, Kronos, and who's been here, Alicia, Jessica Castillo, Yes and Again, and Tink from Orville 24/7, Kronos, Medallion. Thank you, Medallion, for hanging out with us. Dollywood, JPRPH1. I'm going to get that down the way Doomcock has it. Phantom Outsider. Thank you, everybody. Let's just scroll back. I just want to make sure I get everybody who's in here. Nerdporial. Scroll back. John Sapola, Maria from Tiantali, Potato Reven. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And you guys have a blessed weekend. And don't forget, guys, if you have Disney Plus, you're going to be wanting to start watching Todd. Thank you, Todd, for being here. Boya Zapatos, thank you for being here. Thank you, Medallion. Don't forget, Jon Cassar said one of the best ways to support the Orville is to keep watching. And in this case, if you have Disney Plus as of August 10th, go watch. Do your rewatch of season 3 on Disney Plus, guys. So thanks to a great audience. Thank you for a great audience participation. Thank you to Jon Cassar. And you guys have a blessed weekend. Take care.